This is my honest list of the 18 typefaces I come back to for 90% of my web designs and identity projects. Let's go. Hello my friend. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Adrian Somoza and I teach advanced web design and freelancing skills. So if you want to stay up to date with my latest videos, make sure to subscribe and enable notifications. So let's start with typeface number 1. Of course, it has to be Helvetica. To be honest with you, I was thinking about it, and I use Helvetica in almost probably 50% of all my designs. Okay, so it's a very versatile, beautiful, and well-designed typeface that I love to use, and I don't see any reason why I need to find a new Helvetica, let's say. So let me show you a little bit of what you can do. You will see that there's from extended to compressed to bold to black, there's so many variables right inside this typeface that you mostly don't need a lot of them. Like for example, this Helvetica compressed can be used for a boxing theme, or it could be used for something more minimalist like this packaging or this book, right? Or it could be used as something more interesting like this rabbit tour poster, right? A little bit more edgy. Here's another use, right? Massimo Vignelli was a huge fan of Helvetica, and he used it for the New York subway. So it's super legible and you can use it for even highly functional things like a subway. Coca-Cola used it, right, for their advertisements. The Last Shadow Puppets used it, right? So the usage of this typeface is like infinite. My logo is with Helvetica as well. It's a variation, an extended variation, and my paragraphs are and small text here are done with Helvetica. So to me, Helvetica again is my power horse. I use it almost everywhere. I also did a lot of concepts like this one. This is a very edgy art direction, and if you look at my designs, especially the ones by the name of Sonoma, you will see that a lot of uses of this typeface, right? The Helvetica typeface. Super versatile. It's gonna be your workhorse. You shouldn't need another workhorse like this one. By the way, you can also find like Satoshi and Inter as other typefaces that can replace Helvetica. You can create almost the same things that you can create with Helvetica. It's just that, you know, the letter spacing, the characters, the balance of the characters and the white space is not so polished. If you want, as a designer, it's going to make a difference. As a user for your clients, it's not going to make a difference at all. So feel free to use Satoshi, Inter, or number 2 is Arial. Now, some of you might think it's boring. To me, you know, a typeface is not boring. It's the way you use it that is boring. So to me, you know, Arial is like a free alternative to Helvetica, right? So with Arial, you can do things like this. But basically, you know, I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can do with Arial, because these are specifically done with Arial. But honestly, you can do anything that you would do with Helvetica, you can also do it with Arial, and it's going to look 99% similar, at least for your clients and for the users that use your designs. So this is also done with Arial. One thing I love about Arial is the Arial narrow version. So you can do this type of art direction, visual identity that it's very elegant. It's also edgy, so I'm going to show you a couple more of those. Especially this one has, you know, this Arial narrow that I really like, honestly. And to me, you cannot beat decades of improvement after improvement that Helvetica and maybe Arial have had. So those are the first 2. Let's take a look at some others. So Futura. Let me show you a couple of uses of Futura. Then of course you can, you know, take a look at the rest of the links in the PDF that I'm going to be leaving below. But I'm going to show you a couple of them so that you can take a look. By the way, when you want to see how a font is used, right, what you can do with a font, I love this website called Fonts in Use, and I really recommend you to take a look at this one. So you can come here and just type any typeface, and it's going to show you a result of all the places or all the designs that were submitted that used that typeface, so that you can get inspired with the usage of this typeface and you can create different vibes. So Futura, you can go all the way from something sporty like this one, right? Nike used for their website Futura, to something a little bit more elegant like this website I did for John Elway, where the paragraphs are set in Futura and it's much more formal, much more elegant. And then you can also do things a little bit more quirky, a little bit more edgy, like a poster for Wes Anderson. Next we have Garamond, our first serif typeface. It's an old style serif from 1495. Okay, so you will see that all of these typefaces are classic ones: 1957, 1982, 1927, and this one is from 1495, so almost 500 years ago. So this typeface, I love it, and you can use it again in a very versatile way. I used Garamond for this, Agatha Villain that was kind of popular back in the days. You can also use it like this. Again, it's elegant. I love this, the italics, by the way. They look super cool, and they combine very well with the regular use. So you can do, minimalistic things with it, but you can also do something a little bit more edgy, more fun, more decompressed, like this type of vibe, right? And it still looks amazing, right? This italics here that contrast with the sans serif in all caps. I love this vibe. It's a much more modern, much more quirky vibe, and you can also use it, in various different ways. This is another minimalistic one. Mostly I think you're gonna see it with minimalist art directions and identities, but again, like you saw with this approach, you can also do something a little bit more quirky with it. Then we have Times New Roman, a very classic typeface that I think it's very, very underrated, and I want to show you some examples of how you can use it. It's a very cool typeface, and you can use it for pretty modern and edgy type of art directions like this ones. Here you can see this is a Times New Roman typeface. I think it contrasts super well with a sans serif like Helvetica, Futura, or any other typeface that is sans serif, right? And I think it has a very interesting vibe. It's also a little bit chunky and powerful, right? It's not that elegant like Garamond. It's a little bit more powerful, and so you can use it knowing that. Here's another use. I love this this type of vibe, right? And you can use it contrasting again with a sans serif. It works really well in bigger text, smaller text. It just reads really well, and I love the italics. So as you can see here, the italic version is also pretty cool. I also used it I remembered for this design, and this is the italic version, and as you can see, it looks great in big sizes as well. That's a little bit of what you can do with Times New Roman. Next one is Accidents Grotesque. Now, to be honest with you, again, most of the times I use Helvetica, if not Arial. Now, if I'm looking for a little bit of a more elegant vibe, but still being grotesque, I would use Accidents Grotesque, because Futura is not a grotesque typeface, so it has a very geometric vibe and very formal vibe. This one is a little bit more formal, but it's not it's still organic, and so this one I like it for that reason. Again, I don't go crazy using this one. I just use it for mostly this website, because I wanted to create a contrast between something very powerful like the titles and something a little bit more classic and elegant like the body copy, right? Or you can use it throughout the whole website like this website does, and it works perfectly fine in all sizes. This one as well, it uses a more bolder version of it, and it also looks great. You know, this is for an architecture firm. It looks great, and it's a little bit different from the typical Helvetica and Arial typefaces. Now, my seventh go-to typeface is Trade Gothic. Most of the times I just use, again, Helvetica, Arial, sometimes Futura, sometimes Accidents Grotesque. This is almost one of the last options that I use, but especially when it comes to, you know, all caps, I like the condensed all cap version of this. So, you know, looks like this, looks great. You know, you can check, you know, the fonts in use link and see other uses of this typeface. You know, has a lot of ways that you can use it, and to me this is a great option for a more condensed version, and it's a little bit more techy, has a more techy vibe. And last but not least, I think this typeface has won my heart recently in the last few years. It still has enough details like the curve in the T and some of the curves right here and there to look great with titles, but it also looks amazingly well and reads really, really well with small sizes. So this typeface can work really well, especially for product design. And, you know, that's why I think it was widely popular in the product websites, right? Like this one. This is the most typical product website that you will see, right? It's like a template that I've seen 1,000 times, but I think it's because of the readability, but also because it doesn't have the same vibe that Helvetica has. So it's a little bit different. Now, here are some alternative uses to this typeface. So I think it works really well for even a story like this, or, you know, this website uses it for most of the text, but I think it works well also with a minimal style like this. It can also be used a little bit more quirky, and so this is a Spotify website, and, you know, has a very modern, colorful, vibrant vibe, and, you know, this typeface kind of adapts to almost anything that you can think of, right? This is a very bold type of website, and it still looks super well. Again, I'm a fan of thinking that it's not the typeface, it's the designer that really makes a difference here in how, you know, how the typeface is used. That's circular. Now, let me go over my top 10 display typefaces. This top 10 is because, you know, sometimes you will need to add a little bit more character, or you might want to add a little bit more character to your website. So I think just using 8 typefaces for all of your projects is a little bit too ambitious, in my humble opinion. And so I like to add a little bit of flair to my designs with display typefaces. So most of the times you will see me pairing a display typeface from this list, my top 10, with a, you know, one of my go-to 8 typefaces that I just shared. So let me show you these 10 typefaces that I use as a display and some examples of how you can use them. So first off is PP Hatton. You can use it like this, and like this. PP Editorial New is the next one. You can use it like this, and like this. Then I have OG, and I love this typeface in both its normal and italic versions, and you can use it like this, and like this. Then we have an interesting one. It's Universe/Helvetica in its ultra condensed version. So whether you use Universe or Helvetica, it won't make a huge difference. The point is that you use an ultra condensed version of any of the two. And you can use it to create things like this, and like this. Then we have Eames Century Modern. It's a beautiful, elegant typeface. It has a retro vibe or historic vibe, and you can use it for things like this, and like this. Then we have Didot, and you can use it for things like this, and like this. Then we have Bryce. You can use it for things like this, and like this. And then we have Maelstrom, and you can use it for things like this, and like this. We're almost there. We have Allform that you can use it for things like this, and like this. And Titling Gothic, because I love it for the compressed bold version of it, and you can use it for a website like this and like this. And that's really it, guys. So Massimo Vignelli used 10 typefaces for all his projects. Obama used 2 suit colors when he was a president, and he used gray and he used blue. Chefs only use 3 to 5 knives, and web designers, I think, only need a few typefaces. Now, a few comments here. Typefaces in general, like you saw, are pretty neutral. You can create almost any type of look if you combine them with appropriate colors and graphic elements. So it doesn't have to do with the typeface, it has more to do with how you use it. Next note is, if it's a classic, it's because of a reason. Classic typefaces have survived the test of time, and it's very hard to beat decades of improvement. So don't try to. Next note is that a new typeface won't improve your designs. Practice will. So spend your little precious time designing. Don't spend it trying to find the newest typeface. And also don't blame the typeface, because typefaces, like I said, are not boring. It's layouts that might be boring, or animations that might be boring, or interactions. So it's not the typeface, it's you. It's how you use it, okay? Don't blame the typeface. And lastly, right, you might need other typefaces from time to time. There's many reasons. You might need specifically a monospace typeface like PP Supply Mono. Or sometimes brands use specific typefaces that you need to use, right? Because they have the typeface in their brand guidelines and you have to stick to it and you don't have any choice. But in 90% of the cases, you want to stick to a few typefaces and use as little as possible typefaces and really master them and get to know them. So make sure to grab the PDF that I used in this presentation for free in the links below with all the 17 typefaces and examples. You'll also find a collection of useful resources there for web designers that I hope you find valuable. That's it for today's video, guys. I hope you found it useful, and as always, let's bridge the gap one pixel at a time.